Hello, duelists. Tom Box here with Team Innovation's Chris. How are you doing, Chris?
Pretty good. Tom Box, how you doing today?
I am doing all right. Pretty tired from all the crazy editing of throughout this entire weekend in Seattle. But
I can imagine.
yes, oh man, it was crazy. But I'm glad I got most of it through. But today we're not talking about that. We're going to talk about our format discussion. It's going to be, is this game two turn one base right now? So what we mean by that is, does this game feel like the player one going first gets too much advantage from their setup? What's your take on this?
So the player one who goes first gains too much advantage. I mean, that's why Konami implemented that rule where it's like they want the first player to draw 5 versus the second player drawing their 6 card. But at the same time, that rule kind of failed because if you go first and open up your broken combo, it just all depends on if you open up that broken combo. But if you don't open up that broken combo, you're pretty much gonna lack the advantage, if that makes sense.
Okay, you see, like taking away the very the 6 card draw for the turn player going first, I felt like it didn't have as much impact as we thought it might because, well, as soon as they did that, they started releasing cards that help you kind of mitigate that loss. Like starting with performables. Performables was a very, very obvious one. You start off with monkey board, you immediately get your plus right away.
Right.
And that I thought was like, oh, I can actually start with 9 cards still. Like,
Yeah, that was Performance House was an OP deck at full power.
that was ridiculous. But then again, do people really need to actually play, like, they have to win the die roll and then choose to go first? I mean, there are obviously other deck options as well.
True too, like Cosmos is a great example of a deck that you can go first and set up a good field, or you can go second and just try to OTK the opponent. Another great example, I guess, would be thinking about it. Anything that main decks Twin Twister essentially, like let's say for example Heroes, we can go second while we're a deck that's mainly based on going first. If we go second, we open up Twin Twister, wipe your back row, make the Dark Law, wipe your field, and make our Unbreakable Board. Then you're gonna be kind of stuck in a whim.
That's true. Like, you can counter the board, and like clearly ABC is one of the things that are like people really hate dealing with, especially like a strong ABC player that knows what they're doing. They can actually set up a much stronger board than an unskilled ABC player or one that's a little bit more novice to the deck. Now, let's actually try to define the word unbreakable board. What would you consider an unbreakable board?
What I consider an Unbreakable Board, it's pretty much a board that just set up to the point where your opponent can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Like you have infinite amount of negation or something that's just gonna shut off a game mechanic. I guess since I'm stuck on Heroes, Unbreakable Board, Dark Law, Infinity, Double Strike, Warning.
Yep.
That's pretty much like GG no re, unless you just have you have to have like
A
at least
book
3 or
of
4 cards out there.
a
Yeah,
book of Eclipse combined with, say, a Regeki. Sure,
exactly.
if you have those two mass board wipe, okay, you deserve it. Okay, yeah, that makes
Exactly.
sense. To me, an unbreakable board is basically following your definition, where the opposing player basically can shut off your combos before you can establish your board, leaving your board extremely weak and basically susceptible to an OTK the next turn. CDI is one of those cards, definitely, because if you count CDI as a card, he trades a 0 for 1 for you, because you play a card, he negates a card by just detaching. So that's a 0 for
Right.
1. You're basically playing with 4 cards in your hand on your turn, or 5 cards since you are going second. And then if they have more of that stuff, say they have strike, your summons are getting knocked off. So you can just basically count off cards in your finger, and then you'd be like, okay, so technically I only have 2 cards to play. So yeah, that's what my definition of an unbreakable board is. However, are they actually like fully unbreakable? Like kaijus are a thing, right? Kaijus. What's your take on this?
I mean, yes, we do have the kaijus, but at the same time, you have to draw the kaiju. It's kind of like it's like what an old buddy of mine told me who used to play card games. Like you can always have an out to a card, but you're not always gonna draw the card. Like back in the wind-up format, wind-ups was still the best deck, but people had Maxian effect better to counter it. So essentially, we can have the kaijus, but just because we have the kaijus don't mean that they're gonna stop players from playing Unbreakable Board deck.
That's okay. That's fair enough. Like, I like the fact that we have kaijus to kind of slow that problem down, and kaijus, I believe, is still a pretty fair archetype on its own. And what are decks that are capable of making these unbreakable boards? Like, most of these decks are technically control decks, not like extremely aggro.
Right. So on decks that can make unbreakable boards, I believe, let's see, Totally Awesome is a card that's going to come out. So Paleozoics, Totally Awesome Heroes,
Yeah,
where you set
that's
up
that's definitely gross. It's basically CDI all over
exactly.
again, and easier
Uh,
access.
yeah, Cyber Dragons is a good example. ABCs, in a sense, can make an unbreakable board. Set it going first, setting up your Buster Dragon with some back row. If your opponent opens up a mediocre hand or just a decent hand with no way to out the ABC Dragon, you're done.
I
There's nothing you can do.
I feel like on top of the ABC, what I've realized throughout, I guess, my regional experience with all the ABCs going around is that deck is so unpunishable through sheer advantage. If you don't open with a Twin Twister, you can't do anything because most of the stronger players, what I've noticed is they don't care about the ABC Dragon actually banishing your stuff. They just pre-tag it out because you can't Gamecial it, and if you don't
Right,
Gamecial it, they get a +1 immediately just from Union Hanger. And then they can actually
right.
block System Down if they equip a B onto the field, so that even if you System Down, they don't lose their ABC. So that part is pretty ridiculous, and through sheer advantage, if you can't break that board, ABC will kill you the next turn. So yeah, that one definitely is
Definitely.
one crazy board. But I've also realized is Performables back at full power also was known to establish unbreakable boards.
Oh yes, definitely. Setting up those first turns with I can't remember all the performance power monster names. They had the fusion guy, the synchro guy, and then they just had they had their strikes because they blew up the
The
pendulum card.
Ariadne, yeah, the
Yeah, they are
Ariadne.
not. Yeah, so they just set up those big boards, make a field full of monsters, and pass. If you didn't open up Regeki, or hell, even if you did open up Regeki, they can just pendulum summon back everything in the following turn, blow up your back row with their outs, and then just go off for game.
So basically, we have decks like Paleozoic, like you said, totally awesome stuff coming out. Those decks are broken. Not broken, but they set up really annoying turn one boards that makes it very difficult to go second. And then there's
Right.
also ABCs, which can do sheer advantage. Performables, they also had at the very beginning, when we could play for about 2 weeks, we had CDI Rafflesia.
Right,
And
right.
unless you could break that board, you're basically done because you eat up your summon quite quickly with the Rafflesia, and CDI is just going to, no, you're not going to kill my Rafflesia.
And even on the rogue side, we had decks like Satellar Knights. Now that I think about it, if you can open up Deneb set 5 with the negation card, and then call Lehana Deneb in your turn, just OTK with your Altair. So like
That
even some of the on the rogue side, they have unbreakable boards as well.
So basically, everyone has access to unbreakable boards, but like even though they're unbreakable boards, there are decks that purposely choose to go second. And oh, for another, just before we move on to like the next little part here, one more unbreakable board deck. Thanks to Tides of the Brethren, we've got Magispector setting up
Oh
unbreakable
yeah,
boards now.
I honestly I couldn't I forgot all about that deck, but yeah, that deck's dumb.
That deck
That could
is
just
summon Fox, go off, and get a plus. I think I counted. You can net a +5 off of 2,000 life points. From the
oh
very
wow.
initial search of the Fox, which is a +1, you play Tides, which -1, but then you get two more monsters. And then you get two more back row.
Then not to mention
Basically, it was crazy.
Yeah, and then not to mention if they open up with the that spellcaster card that says your opponent can activate spell cards, you're just done.
Yep, I do remember this because this was a very prominent deck at the competitive events. See, there's so many decks that open unbreakable boards. Does that mean the game is like too luck based at this point?
I mean, I think honestly, Yu-Gi-Oh has always been luck based. It's just an inherent thing in all card games. I mean, you randomize a deck, you draw your opening hand, and nothing's guaranteed. Now, where the skill come in is how you play that hand. But the thing about Yu-Gi-Oh is we have so many cards that just says your opponent can't play the game, or we have so many cards that just say, "Oh, Rip Regeki, I win," that it kind of takes the skill out of the game, in my personal opinion.
Okay, so it's you feel like it's too it's more luck based than most people kind of give it credit for. But say two players of different skill levels play the exact same deck list. Like, I feel like during these formats where like there's tons of unbreakable boards, there are different ways that you can kind of answer it. Like, of course, skill level definitely does matter because I've watched two ABC players duke it out, and one clearly was way better than the other. And the skill does show based on the combos and how thorough they plan ahead in their combos. And to me, when it comes to these formats, those kinds of skill level definitely do shine a bit more. Whereas, say, versus the decks where back in the day, wind-ups, you open the combo, you loop out your opponent's hand, they're basically done.
I mean, I can attest to that too, but at the same time, for me being a wind-up player back in the day, I can tell you, like, yeah, you obviously, if you open up the ultimate combo of looping the opponent's hand, that's just no skill. But there's a lot of games where you loop the opponent's hand and you're playing the wind-up mirror, they drop the max seed. Now it's a skill game because now you guys can't go for the loop plays. You guys got to go of who's going to manage their rats better, who's going to manage their magicians better, the sharks better. So there is some type of skill involved, but at the same time, I feel like just Yu-Gi-Oh! Is inherently it's just a herp dirt game, but it's something that we enjoy because I guess personally I get a thrill out of it, just opening up those dumb combos and ripping Regekis. It's just fun to do.
Okay. Yeah,
but the better player usually does win over the a less skilled player. Like me picking up an ABC deck, knowing I never played an ABC, is obviously going to lose to someone who's been piloting the deck for a while. I mean, I might steal a game or two because they open bad, but majority of the time, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to lose because I don't know how to play the deck.
So, like, do you feel like, okay, so there's like multiple levels of luck. So you got like, first of all, you don't want to brick, of course. That's deck building. So that's skill within your deck building ability. Because if you build a deck that's gonna have really sacky combos but brick a crap ton, well, that's your deck building issue. And of course, you're building the deck to sack, of course. And then you have to win the die roll for your advantage. If you build your deck to go first, you don't want to go second. And
right.
So there's that luck issue right there. And then after that, you got to make sure that you don't open bad. So there's like multiple levels of luck in this game where I guess, you really want to go first depending on how you build your deck. But however, there are decks that do want to go second, like Mermails. Mermails is a very, very scary deck.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They choose to go second because they don't run any back, or they are like known to kill you with a prince. They summon that prince off, they go off, you're basically dead. I mean, the damage that they can put out in one turn is over 10,000. Easy.
Right. But I've also noticed too, like most meta decks nowadays, they don't really care if they go first or second. Like ABCs, they can go second and still, if they open up a Twin Twister, they're good. Or hell, if they don't open up a Twin Twister, they can set up an ABC Buster Dragon play. It's mainly like a lot of rogue decks like Heroes, Barrier Sun, that can't really handle going second because if their opponent open up a way to stop them, it's kind of like they're kind of done.
That's very much true. So, but I also noticed like one very interesting deck list online, which did top 8 a recent regional. It was an ABC deck. However, it was an ABC deck built to go second. And he would only choose to go second. He main deck a lot of the hand traps in the main board, like 3 Ghost Ogres and everything, and the Max C's, the Veilers, everything in the package, built to go second to not stun your opponent and then play on the second turn.
So he played 3 Max C's, 3 Veilers,
well, two Maxi,
okay.
and 3 Ghost Reapers, a pair of Veilers, and I think he also ran like some of the Kaijus as well.
Oh wow, that's really risky.
Like if you open a bunch of hand traps, sure, like you can stun your opponent, but I feel like you don't even have plays yourself.
Right, like that's only good. That's like what people call a meta call, I guess. Like if you know you're gonna go to an event and you know that the area that you're gonna go to the event is very competitive, and you know everyone's gonna be running ABC, that's a good option. But if you play against that one guy running his Harpy deck, I don't know how good that hand is gonna be. And it's funny because like those instances pop up more than often at regionals, especially at YCSs too, where you're prepped for the meta and then you run into a rogue deck.
Yeah. I can definitely be an example of that. I built my ABC deck. Like I played ABCs at regionals, and I did okay. But like the first round that I did lose to was a rogue matchup. It was barrier statues. I could not clear off the Moon Mirror Shield equipped with the Fossil Dyna. That was something I could not kill. I have 3 sets of ABCs in the graveyard, ready to like basically triple ABC, but couldn't kill the Fossil Dyna and ended up actually losing. I got 2-0'd pretty badly.
Oh wow.
It was unfortunate because I could not dig into the Twin Twister, like you said. I just couldn't get into the play. So I felt like
Right.
when he got his setup, I was completely unable to play, and I guess that was his way of answering the meta. But yeah, speaking of which, like there are different ways to like try out the game. For instance, you don't have to always build your deck to go first. Like according to the guy that did do the go second ABC deck, his reasoning behind it was pretty logically sound. He said he would probably only win like if you do like legitimately, like if you win die roll, you would only win 50-50. And then you're risking basically going second for sure, because your opponent most likely will want to go first, because in this day and age of the game, most people can set up unbreakable boards. So he chose to
Right.
go ahead and break these unbreakable boards. So whether or not he won the die roll, he basically took the luck factor of that instance out.
Right.
And
So yeah.
the other way to play is to play anti-meta, or play better than the meta. If you know that the meta plays a certain way, that's when you can actually find the anti-meta option. Like a lot of people say that anti-meta isn't an option, like stun decks, they're not an option. But clearly barrier statue is a thing, and there was a lot of barrier statue just knocking ABC players like just non-stop at the event that day.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, that's crazy. Barrier statues is OP.
barrier statues are very funny because it does slow the game down quite a bit. So, like you can choose to go second and kind of take away some of the luck factor in it, and then play a game of skill, break the opponent's board. But then you would just still considered like super luck based, because you decided to play this many pieces of board breaking techs.
Right.
Or like,
So
I guess it kind of goes back to deck building again.
yeah, I mean, it just all depends on. I think it's just all depends on how lucky you can get, and like like you can main deck all the outs in the world, but you're not guaranteed to play against the ABC. It could be 90% of the ABC in the room. You play against that 110% that's not using the deck.
So even when you build a deck to go second, you still also have to keep in mind that there are other matchups that you will have to deal with. So if you put in that Ghost Reaper, for instance, you might shove in a Dante in there. You might shove in like a Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, and like all the
Right.
other matchups, so that you can actually kind of stun those matchups as well. Sure, you're losing a bit of utility in your extra deck, but I guess it's okay, because that's how you're gonna be playing the game. That's your pacing, and and to me, that's actually a level of skill in the game, because you're putting thought into answering a situation, like a meta. You're putting your thought to answer the meta, rather than play the meta.
Right. But at the same time, like it's been done before though.
Yeah.
Like I agree with you where it's like that is skillful, but since people are, I think it only did well because people didn't know of it. People didn't expect it. Now that it is done well and the deck list is out there, more people are going to be on the alert. Like, okay, if this guy goes second, more than likely he's playing the ABC deck, main decking everything. So I got to be really conservative with my plays.
That's true. So, anything you want to add onto this segment here about Unbreakable Boards?
I mean, all I pretty much add is, I mean, no matter what in Yu-Gi-Oh, we've always had some form of unbreakable wars. Even back in the day, we had the triple solemn judgment, which is why solemn judgment's a banned card.
Oh, yeah,
You
that
open
was
up
a great
solemn
format.
Oh yeah, you open up triple solemn judgment, or hell, even the double warning with a judgment, and it was pretty much GG no re. It was pretty much an auto win for your opponent. The way you're gonna survive this type of format is honestly just play your twin twisters, play your cosmic cyclones, your MSTs, and hope your opponent draws back. I mean, it's just the way the cookie crumbles. Unfortunately, that's just the game we play. But the kaiju's are a great option, and just backward destruction in general.
And for me to add on to the conclusion here, one thing I have noticed in terms of skilled play is I'm not sure if many people, like, I guess not too many people kind of make it to the later rounds in a big tournament. I bubbled my way to the top, and what I've noticed is nearing the end rounds of a regional, so for instance, the misplays that you make will cost you games immediately. You will feel the immediate reaction right there. Whereas in the earlier stages, in the lower tables, you can make misplays and you won't be punished for it.
Well, it depends on the player you play too.
Exactly.
Like you might go round one and play against a pro player. You can't misplay.
Yeah, you can't misplay. You misplay, you will get punished out of your mind. It's kind of funny because I did like, to put that into context, is that during one of my earlier rounds at Seattle Regional this past weekend, I played against a Satella Knight fellow. I actually forgot to search with my Buster Drake twice.
Oh wow, that's big.
That's big. But I didn't get punished for it because I continued to apply pressure to him, and then I took the game off of him from the game which I forgot to search twice. And however, during round five, I was playing against one of my friends, Darren, and we ended up in getting a draw because I forgot to search once. I forgot to search once with my Buster Drake to search out A. I could not break his CDI board with a Harbinger. I had a terraforming and 2 field spells, which I could not even activate to search out the A now because I forgot to search. Because I already had B and C in the grave. I just need to set the A and then summon the ABC, run over CDI, and then kill the Harbinger with the effect. However, because I misplayed, that cost me the game immediately. And then we were in time at the time, and that ended the game in a draw, which I now like, even now I feel that in the higher stakes game where you are higher up in the at the higher tables, misplays and the skill involved is definitely much more apparent. And
because you're gonna be playing the better players in the room for sure.
Yeah, and definitely they will catch on and they will punish you. So in terms of skill level, there is that, because misplays obviously is also a demonstration of lack of skill. Versus person that will catch on is their call. They understand the way the game is played. So yeah, I guess that's my little add-on onto that.
I was gonna say, sometimes even though a misplay can be lack of skill, misplay can also be just exhaustion. I mean, you're playing in a tournament 8 to 10 rounds. If you didn't properly eat, if you're not properly caffeinated, or whatever performance enhancer you might want to take before your event.
I take steroids. I'm so ready.
Some players smoke weed. Some players pop a Adderall or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you take to help you stay focused for that event is definitely gonna give you an advantage over some over other people. Like, I can tell you, like, at this past nationals, if I wasn't drinking coffee all day, I would not have lasted till the last round.
Wow.
There was no way possible. 13 hours. Consistently doing combo after combo after combo, it's insane. Like, it's hard. So,
like, do you ever feel like you want to drop a combo just because you're so tired? Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
Like, you rather choose the laser route. Like, it might not be the safer one, but like, I don't have the energy to think this combo through. Or maybe if I do the longer combo, I'll probably misplay by forgetting a step in between and actually end up with a much weaker board.
Exactly. Sometimes you might play too fast, and you might play too fast where you skip over your combo and you make a misplay by just doing the combo out of order, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that does make sense. Well, yeah, that like, exhaustion also definitely comes into play. And I wish I would go into the segment of how to prepare for a tournament, but that's for Oscar to do, hopefully.
Oh yeah, definitely. I should probably do it on my channel. I think I'm surprised I haven't done it yet.
Well, why not? It's a good idea.
Yeah, I've traveled a lot in my day, so
tournament preparation is definitely something that a lot of the newer players, especially the player base, has been shifting from the older players, kind of moving. Some of them are leaving and quitting. Some of them are staying ahead of the game. Some of them are teaching the newer players how to play. Like, this was Nishi's first regionals, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we were like, he was asking for all sorts of advice of what you should not do, and I don't know, I've been playing this game for, 12, 13, I don't know how many years anymore.
Oh, like, since the beginning, pretty much, then,
yeah,
right?
Basically, yeah, since the beginning. And, I don't know, I just gave him the advice, just take a piss every round. Not even kidding. You can't play when you want to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah, so if I just don't drink. I drink water, but I drink caffeine too. Caffeine dehydrates you, so it kind of gets you pumped, but also kind of helps you pee less.
Yeah, it does help because I can't. I had one opponent. He like a couple years ago. He basically just scooped his round. I didn't even know why he scooped. He won game 1, and then he left.
Oh wow!
Because he had a stomach ache. He just had to go.
Yeah, that dude had the bubble cuts.
I was like, oh, okay, well, I wasn't even I was like, okay.
I personally have seen players throughout the years miss their round 1 because they're in the bathroom.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
So
they run to the table like fuck.
Yep, that happens, right? It's something that everyone must be aware of. Like, your personal health does matter in like all situations. But anyways, this is about it. If you want to add anything else, okay, guys. So don't forget to subscribe to Team Innovation. All the stuff is right there. It's right below. Just click his stuff right there. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, we've got our MOS tournament stuff coming up. What kind of segment do you have coming up, Chris?
Right now, I have 10 reasons why you should study the OCG. The video should be uploaded on the 28th
Awesome.
of October.
Definitely check that stuff out. I'm going to check it out, so I recommend you guys go check it out. And thank you for coming and doing this this interview with me.
Definitely.
That was a great discussion. If you guys have any comment to add, or like about your tournament experience, or like how you deal with Unbreakable Boards, or if you even like the format, leave a comment down below and we'd be happy to kind of reply or really thanking you for sharing your insight. Alright, so if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you guys want to see more stuff, please subscribe to both Team Innovation and myself. And until next time, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV. Oh yeah.
Around. We're gonna show you how much money we actually spend on this game.
Alright, okay, since I'm gonna hold the camera, I'm just gonna show my 3 desires.
Yeah. Pretty standard stuff.
3. And then there's the other 3 over there.
Yeah.
That's Calvin's.
Yeah, these are my desires.